Workforce Committee will come to order. First bill on the agenda is House File 2664, Representative Hassan. Chair Hassan will move that House File 2664 be laid over for possible inclusion. Welcome back to the committee, Chair Hassan, to your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. House File 2664 is the Twin Cities Rise, appropriating money for Twin Cities Rise Empowerment Institute. As you guys know, Twin Cities Rise has a strong track record and support from the legislator, both sides of the aisle. It has been around for over 20 years with offices in St. Paul and Minneapolis. Twin Cities Rise is the only group that does pay for performance training programs operating under MS 116J-8747. Under the terms of that law, community organizations that provide workforce training are reimbursed by the state only if they adhere to certain standards and meet certain benchmarks. This bill is different from the bill that we heard a week ago. And this one is, $500,000 for fiscal year 2024 and $500,000 for fiscal year 2025. And it increases the capacity of Twin Cities Rise to do their Empowerment Institute through employer partnership across Minnesota and expansion of the youth personnel empowerment curriculum. With that, Mr. Chair, I have a wonderful testifier who will further explain this bill and why we need this funding.
Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Chair Zhang and Representative Hassan and members of the committee. Thank you for your support for Twin Cities Rise. My name is Emma Corey, and I'm the president and CEO of Twin Cities Rise, a jewel of a nonprofit in the heart of North Minneapolis. We have been serving the community for 30 years and focusing on disconnected individuals by providing career training, personal empowerment, and successfully bringing them into the workforce. Today, I am here to request your support for our Empowerment Institute, a division of Twin Cities Rise. The key to our success is our signature personal empowerment training. This proprietary training program focuses on social and emotional behavioral interventions, well beyond standard skills or basic knowledge acquisition. Nearly 25 years ago, we decided with client demand to start providing this empowerment to employers, to businesses, for retention of the workforce and building of the workforce. Today, the two specific requests are to expand this impactful program, to bring our training to employers and businesses to strengthen the workforce within the state of Minnesota. We hope to do this in the Twin Cities and first expand it to St. Cloud and then to a few other locations that have a strong population that we focus on. Our series of emotional intelligence workshops will elevate employee engagement and increase employee retention for our employers and businesses. To expand, and the second one is to expand our opportunity youth programs. At the heart of our community is our young people, and they have suffered the most during this pandemic. When we think about mental and emotional stress, we have been doing personal empowerment for 18 plus for 30 years. We are asking for your support today to be able to build out our curriculum for those under 18. So that we can become the best youth training provider of social and emotional learning. Both requests are for capacity building to elevate our successful workforce within the state by doing two things: focusing on retention and engagement of our employees, and two, to empower our youth, our future workforce, with the right skills that employers need. With that, I know we are tight on time. I am keeping to my 2 minutes. I will stop there. And thank you so much, Chair Zhang and Representative Hassan, for your support, and members of the committee.
Representative Zalesnikar.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Representative Hassan and to the testifier. I just wanted to ask, I don't have any questions on what the program is doing. I just wanted to ask, because I like to look at when we're doing grants or appropriations, what the financials, it looks like the income, which it dropped from 2021 to 2022. But what I was looking at is the piece of, and I don't know what the benchmark is for the management and the general salaries or that expense, but it looks like from 2021, that went up from 17% of the total expenditures to 19% in 2022 at a time when the income went down. So I was just wondering if you could talk about that, because that would seem an inverse of what I'm used to seeing in business when we would retract. Absolutely. And so I just wanted to ask that because I thought you would be able to maybe walk through that.
Representative Hassan.
I'll just phone a friend, Mr. Chair, so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Representative Zeleznikar. Happy to answer that question. Twin Cities Rise is a small nonprofit, but it's an organization that has really prided itself on accountability, as you can see from our pay for performance. In the last, I came on board about a year ago, and what we have done at Twin Cities Rise is really made sure that we have a strong back office that can support our programming and our reporting. What I added was a staff person in our finance area that can do an excellent job of our reporting to deed and our ability to have a clean audit every single year. Nonprofits for the longest time have stripped their back office, and we hurt because of that. That is one thing that I feel is strong at Twin Cities Rise, always will be under my leadership. And when it comes to our amounts going down, the pandemic has been a year when you have a pandemic and you have the situation we had, and we have record unemployment, education and training are certainly on the lower end. We have continued to serve during this time in terms of transforming the trajectory of people's lives. I can stand behind that, and we continue to do that every day. Thank you for your support.
Representative Zeleznikar.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the information. So and this is just a question, and as you move forward, is this an appropriation? Do you see this as being this 24 and 25 year period, or is this something that you see as ongoing?
I see.
Ms. Corey.
Thank you, Chair Zhang. Thank you, Representative Hassan. Thank you, Representative Zeleznikar. I see this as a capacity building grant for Twin Cities Rise to be able to build the youth curriculum and to begin to provide the employer outreach in at least one greater Minnesota city, and that is St. Cloud. In the future, if we do come back, it would be for us to be able to grow this impactful program in areas like Rochester, Worthington, Duluth. So it would be about growing it beyond the Twin Cities.
Representative Zeleznikar.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you. My assumption is that the financial person that you added to your team for this salary increase in your expenditures is then going to allow you to have the reporting that you need to report back to this legislative body on outcomes and financial benefit for the investment of the state.
Ms. Corey.
Thank you, Chair Zhang. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Further discussion. Closing statement.
This is a good bill. Please support. Thank you for your time. Mr.
Chair Hassan will
Chairman.
renew her motion that House File 2664 be laid over possible inclusion. Next is House File 1236, Representative Aaron Koegel. I will move that House File 1236 be laid over for possible inclusion. Welcome to the committee, Representative Koegel, to your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. House File 1236 is the Getting to Work bill, and this is a grant program at DEED that helps connect workers to jobs by addressing transportation barriers. Getting to Work supports nonprofit organizations that offer low-interest auto loans or leases, affordable car repairs, or donated vehicles to low-income individuals who need a car to get to work. Being in jobs and hearing a baby really brings me back. I'm sorry. Just like flashbacks. Anyway, sorry. The legislature established the Getting to Work program in 2017 and made one-time appropriation to the program in 2017 and in 2021. And this bill appropriates, it gets a base funding for the Getting to Work Grants program because transportation challenges for low-income families are not going away anytime soon. And we know that helping people with transportation, they need to get to work, benefits the whole community. This program, I kind of have a little bit of a soft spot for it because I used to work at one of the organizations that administered this program. And so got to see the folks that came in and paid their car payments every month and built the community around us. So it was really good. And so I'm really excited to have our testifier with us. Latoya Whitefield received a vehicle loan through the car ownership program, the CAP RW, the one that I used to work for. And she has made time to come here and testify today to make sure that other families have access to the same kind of support that helped her family. So I will turn it over to my testifier.
Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Good evening. My name is Latoya Whitfield, and I'm currently a clerk for Ramsey County. I also serve on the board of directors for Community Action Partnership of Ramsey and Washington County. I'm a mother of 3 children, 17, 14, and 4, and we reside in Ramsey County. My vehicle is used to get myself back and forth to work. I have 2 jobs, and while one is hybrid, my part-time job is servicing clients in the community face-to-face, which is one reason I need a reliable vehicle. Since my household has 1 adult, I'm responsible for transporting my children everywhere, from school functions such as choir, band practices, and concerts to driving my eldest daughter to Target to get her favorite mascara. I also volunteer in the nursery at my church at least one Sunday a month, so having a reliable vehicle to live my daily life has been a huge blessing and privilege. Before I applied, I had a vehicle that was not reliable and kept having issues that were getting more and more expensive to fix, so I decided to let that vehicle go. I hadn't had a car for around 2 to 3 months before I learned about this program. I was able to use my sister and her husband's extra vehicle, so not only was being a participant in the car ownership program a blessing for myself, but for my family. The application process was super easy to navigate. Once I submitted the application, I then had to complete and pass the financial literacy course that was a part of the requirement. And about 3 to 4 weeks after that, I received an approval letter. Financially, I had to budget, and not only my car note, but also having insurance was a requirement. I have been able to keep up with my payments on my car note and insurance, and I'm thankful that the car ownership program has not penalized me when there has been times that I've been late. And also it's helping me to build my credit score. This program works because it provides a low-interest loan with flexible payments for people who don't have the means to have a lump sum of money to purchase a vehicle. I am now in a position to help others, and being a recipient of this program is a huge stress reliever, so I hope you continue to fund this program. Thank you for your opportunity to testify.
Thank you, Ms. Whitfield, for sharing your story. Discussion. Representative Zalesnikar.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Representative, and thank you for being here to tell your story. I think it's a fabulous program. I wanted to ask the representative your thoughts on this grant money, how the distribution would be. It looks to me, when I was looking at the prior time, it was 64% went to Greater Minnesota, and then the rest of the grant money in the prior application went to the outside 7-county metro. And so I looked at where the grant money went, as far as it was basically southwest, southeast, Metro, and then Duluth. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are on if there's going to be other counties, if this was to move forward, if there's going to be other counties, because rural Minnesota there just is no transportation. And so I wondered your thoughts on how this distribution would be. The need is there for many people in this state, and so if you could talk to that, that would be great.
Representative Koegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Representative. I think that's the reason why that we're asking for a larger sum of money this time is because we really do want to make sure that we're able to replicate these programs in other parts of the state. When I first worked at Community Action, we only had the car loans, and now they also are able to offer repair services as well. And so with the success of this program, I think that's exactly the goal behind this, is to make sure that we get it out into areas of the state that don't have access to this program right now.
Representative Zalesnikar.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Representative. Is there specific language in the bill that will speak to the percentage that will be Metro 7 County or Greater Minnesota?
Representative Koegel.
I don't see any, just with a quick glance of the language, I don't see anything, but I'm sure Deed would be able to answer some of those questions because they're the ones that are administering the grants.
Representative Zalesnikar.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Representative. My ask would be that we follow the language that I see was done prior, where 65% or a percentage of this would be for Greater Minnesota's application of this, that would be included in an amendment or considered.
Is that a question?
Yes, thank you.
Representative Koegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, this bill's in the possession of your committee, so you guys can do
It's
with it.
being laid over.
Yep.
Representative Sencer-Mura.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Koegel, for bringing this bill. I didn't know about this program. I think it's a great program. Also, you and I, Representative Koegel, are on the Transportation Committee together, so I know that we both are trying to think about different ways of transit. Is there a similar program that you know of for maybe providing people with, money for public transportation or money to buy a bike, or just kind of ways to incentivize other ways people might get to work, or is that something that could be potentially added to this program? Thank you.
Representative Koegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I know that Met Council has some programs that offer discount cards and card services. And I even know that some nonprofits hand them out to participants. I know that's something that we also did at CAP-RW. But I'm not sure if there is a program specifically like that, but I bet you I know somebody who would want to work on that.
Thank you.
Representative Sencer-Mura.
Yeah, thank you.
Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Representative Koegel. Thank you for this bill. I think it's, transportation is crucial. Whether it's just getting your daily needs of food and whatever, or getting to work. And I'm just kind of wondering on the about 2.6 through about 2.23, talking about those that are eligible to apply, kind of wondering, like independent mechanics, sometimes they will, help somebody out, and so is that, I'm just kind of help me understand this, is that somebody, if somebody's car were to break down that would to qualify for repairs, an independent mechanic, would they be able to basically apply and say, hey, we can get some of this repair covered? Is that the intent of this?
Representative Koegel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you go down to 216, that does list independent local mechanics and automobile repair facilities. I think that's more about for that. Is it where the participant gets the money and they can go to the independent? And I can also phone a friend down here if you want to get more clarity.
Yeah, sure.
Welcome, committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Anna Odegaard. I'm the director of the Minnesota Asset Building Coalition. We've been working with Representative Koegel on this bill. One of the things I really like about this program is that it gives discretion to the individual programs as long as they're meeting some basic parameters to design a program that meets the needs of their community. The application to the deed requires that they describe how they're partnering with people in their community. So I think over on the independent car or the independent mechanics, some of these programs basically they partner with mechanics in the community. So if they take in a donated vehicle, they can get free or discounted repairs, which both gets allows them to stretch the dollars and also just allows folks in the community to give back to their community and make sure folks have reliable transportation. So part of the application is describing to deed how they're kind of leveraging these dollars to partner with people like garages or auto dealers in the community.
Representative Nelson.
Yeah, thank you. That's really helps clarify that. And, I think, there's a lot of great, whether it's mechanics or vocational schools that are doing similar things already, but I think, helping with community partners is important. So thank you.
Closing statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Like I said, this bill has a little bit of a soft spot in my heart because I've seen the folks who utilize this program, and I just think it's awesome. And I think that everybody in the state should have access to this. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Koegel. I will renew my motion that House File 1236 be laid over for possible inclusion. Next is House File 1025, Representative Smith. The chair will motion that House File 1025 be laid over for possible inclusion in omnibus bill. Welcome to committee, Representative Smith, to your bill.
Yeah, thank you so much. Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Rochester, Minnesota is the preeminent medical community in the entire world. And as any community that wants to stay on top, we have to be innovative and always seeking to improve. And so with this Bridges to Healthcare program, what we are recognizing as a medical community is that there's a lot of marginalized communities that we have not mined the incredible talent and innovation that is there. And we want to tap that incredible potential. And we also recognize that many of the systems that led us to not be able to give these people a place in our workforce is not something that's going to change overnight. And so this wonderful program came together to help students and those who wouldn't normally be able to find an incredible career in the healthcare field to find that in Rochester, Minnesota. And it's an incredible program. If you look at this handout in your packets, you will see an incredibly successful program. You can see there on the bottom, 135% is our ROI on this program. So just off the top, it's a great investment. But I think more important than being a great investment is the number of people that this serves. 1,000 people have been enrolled since 2013, 326 individuals hired at local long-term and regional facilities. This is a program that is working, and we come to this committee asking for more funding so that we can continue to make sure that this works. And I already probably talked more than I should have, but I brought a great testifier that I'll hand it over to now, Mr. Chair.
Welcome to committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. My name is Ginny Rittman, and I'm the Executive Director for Workforce Development Incorporated and the Workforce Development Board of Southeast Minnesota. WDI is a nonprofit organization providing employment and training programs to the 10-county area in Southeast Minnesota. Excuse me. WDI serves as the fiscal agent and the administrative agency for this nationally recognized program, which includes a number of private and public partners, including Rochester Community and Technical College, Riverland Community College, Mayo Clinic, Hawthorne Education Center, and of course, WDI. WDI and the Workforce Development Board also serve as the convener, joining partners together and serving as the liaison between career seekers and opportunities. In May 2017, Bridges to Healthcare was recognized as a finalist in the Innovations in American Government Awards by Harvard University. More recently, in February 2021, Bridges to Healthcare was recognized as an adult educator innovator in bridge programs, advancing innovation in adult education, as awarded by the U.S. Department of Education. The state is a key partner in this project, and we also have private support and funding. Our program started in 2011 and has grown over the years to include other partners and funders. Most recently, we have received state funding through direct appropriation dollars since 2017, serving the Olmsted County area. In 2019, we started discussions on expanding the program to other parts of our region because it was time to increase our impact throughout the region and because of the recommendations of this committee. We are proud to say that since that time, we have since succeeded in this with current programming available in Freeborn, Mower, Steele, and Olmsted counties. We come before you today with the roadmap designed and ready to implement for additional expansion to Rice, Goodhue, and Winona counties. In addition, we have a need for serving more students in our existing programming, with students waiting to be able to access these opportunities. We have also expanded our career offerings from a project that started by training just CNAs to now offering pathways in several other careers, such as phlebotomy and pharmacy tech. Our overall project costs with expansion efforts proposed would total just over $1 million. We've secured project partner and other funding totaling $225,000 per year, or approximately 24% of our budget. Our cost per student remains less than $3,200 compared to typical training average of over $5,000, and our return on investment, again, is 135%. Increasing equity is also vital to our state workforce programs. The Bridges program has an 80% ethnically diverse workforce hiring rate, which is an incredibly high for a program in Southeast Minnesota. In addition, 60% of those hires are going to support vastly understaffed long-term care facilities. What we are asking you to support today is helping us further build a sustainable workforce program that serves as a win-win-win opportunity, as we like to call it. It's a win by supporting individuals to economic security with livable wages and benefits. It's a win by helping meet the workforce talent needs and increasing equity in our community, all while expanding the tax revenue and lowering the cost of public supports, making it a win for our economy. This program truly is a perfect trifecta, supporting targeted populations entering the workforce, supporting private business and filling their workforce needs, and also increasing equity and the overall economic vitality of the region. We're thankful to Representative Smith and our authors for their support of this great program and the opportunity to speak with you today. And while we weren't able to have a student join us today in person, I do have a student success story from one of our graduates, if you'd like to hear, but I know we are crunched on time.
Do you guys want to hear a story? Yeah. Let's hear it.
Okay. Jawahira moved to the United States from Kenya in 2016, where she had attended a religious high school and focused a career on early childhood education. She enrolled at Hawthorne Education Center immediately to work on her English, as she spoke very little upon arriving. She worked hard, and while raising 4 kids and volunteering at the Islamic Center teaching children, she eventually began her CNA training. Jawahira has always stressed the importance of education to those around her, and especially to the children she interacts with at home and while volunteering. She has shown to be a great example of this, and as she has faced numerous setbacks, but has persevered through them all and did not give up. After needing to come back to take the state course after a break, she came back on her second try and passed with flying colors. She refuses to give up and will continue to put all of her energy towards her goals and believes strongly in making her family proud. After passing her test, she decided to continue her education and apply for phlebotomy. She then decided to continue her education, complete her paperwork, including transcript translations and evaluations, using our resources to properly transcribe her for the application. Then, after practicing her interviewing skills, she was able to pass her interview panel and gain a seat in the phlebotomy cohort for the spring of '23. She plans to utilize the services provided by the Bridges to Healthcare program continuously through her training. When asked how her life would be different without Bridges, she laughed as if she could not imagine her life without the program. She said she would still be working at Walmart, and she repeats that she feels very lucky without the program, without the program and the help she would have received since joining up through the Bridges program, she would be lost. She reminded me of the 4 times she had to be driven to her CNA exam in Red Wing from Rochester at 6:30 a.m., and that this would have not been possible without the help from Bridges to Careers. The meetings and assistance for homework, applications, translations, and now on to immunizations and background checks, she will continue to use our services. She says she feels the support has been so consistent and integral to her success, and she cannot even begin to express her thanks. She looks forward to the phlebotomy program at the Mayo Clinic School of Health Sciences, and feels confident that with our support, she will be successful and soon have a career in healthcare that she and her family can be proud of.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you again.
Rittman. Discussion. Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the Bridges program, I know looks like it's kind of specific to healthcare. You've got a really good story, obviously, in the Rochester Clinic and such. How are they, and maybe I missed part of this earlier, how are they partnered with you to almost take in this funnel of employees? Are they helping support it either with some equipment, or are they engaged in this as well? Does it go to also other healthcare clinics in the area too, so we get more employers involved? I'm just kind of curious how the employer side is also helping this partnership work.
Ms. Rittman.
Yes, Mr. Chair and Representative, thank you for the question. So Mayo Clinic is one of our key employer partners. They do fund part of the program, so they are part of our private funding to that 24% that I spoke to earlier. They are also part of our leadership group. So, every single week we have communication with our leadership group, part of the interviewing process for new candidates, part of the interviewing process into employment. And then, as I mentioned earlier, 60% of our hires are actually going into other long-term care facilities. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head. It's somewhere around 30-some employers that we are serving through this too. And Mayo Clinic is actually very committed to that. They want to make sure that we're also supporting other businesses throughout the throughout the Southeast Minnesota area now, because those long-term care facilities are also just as critical to our success.
Mr. Chair.
Representative Baker.
Real quick, just to follow up, thank you. And again, I just know as an employer myself that didn't have any kind of a program to try to reach out to the language barriers that we had at our hotels. Again, I just want to make sure we're not forgetting about the smaller clinics, the smaller, folks that don't have sort of the larger systems in place. They really want to hire folks, but they don't know how to communicate with them, especially when they're English language challenged, right? And that's why I just want to make sure that those partners at the table also are being thought of, but employers need some training too. How is the best way to do that? Because we don't have the answers, and when we don't know, we sometimes don't know how to ask. So I just love the program. I think it sounds like a really good thing, but I just know that sometimes they need to be reached out as well. So thank you for that.
Ms. Rittman.
Yes, thank you for that comment, and we will continue to move forward with even expanding our employer outreach as well.
Thank you.
Closing remarks, Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sure as I'm talking to a whole bunch of representatives, you've had this experience where you are elected and you find out about a program, or you find out about people in your district who are doing something amazing, and you're just proud of your area. And I'll be honest, with this program, I'm proud of my area. I think this is a wonderful thing. I love how holistic it is. It offers education. Yes. Does it help with language barriers? Yes. Does it help with transportation if needed? Yes. It really is people-centered and a way to work at a problem in, again, a very holistic way. So I'm very happy to bring this to you. Thank you for listening, and please fund us in your omnibus.
Thank you, Representative Smith. I will renew my motion that House File 1025 be laid over for possible inclusion. Next is House File 813, Representative Hicks. And I see that you have an A2 amendment. Is that correct, Representative Hicks?
That is correct,
Can you
Chair.
explain the amendment, and then we'll vote on it?
Yes, thank you. The amendment incorporates feedback from our last committee stop. I see some of our friends from that last committee stop here with us today. First, it requires that the vendor used for development of the public awareness campaign to be a Minnesota-based vendor. And the second, on line 4.25, it changes the to may, clarifying that the mediums listed in the bill to the areas around the public awareness campaign may not be all that is able to be used,
Okay,
should the vendor make a different choice.
Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? House File, the A2 amendment is adopted. Representative Smith, to your bill as amended.
Smith?
Representative,
I know we hang out a lot, but that's
Kind of the same area.
fine. We are in the same area, a couple blocks away.
I'm looking at a list here, so.
I'm just teasing. Before you today is House File 813, a bill brought forward by ARM, the Trade Association of Residential Disability Waiver Service Providers. This bill does two things. The first is to provide recruitment and retention bonuses for every one of the 30,000 direct support professionals working, and also to incentivize another 13,000 individuals to join the workforce. Second, the bill provides $4 million in appropriation to DEED to develop and implement a multi-pronged public awareness campaign aimed to bringing new employees into the caring profession. For the purposes of this committee, we'll focus on our testimony about the public awareness campaign for the bill and the appropriation to DEED. We've heard from our constituents and in many committees about the catastrophic impact the workforce shortage is having on our caring professions. Supporting people with disabilities and seniors and children with disabilities across all long-term care continuums. We know that these facilities are closing. People living on their own are left without services for long periods of time, and employment services have growing wait lists due to the workforce shortage. This is having a ripple effect through the continuum of services and forcing people into more expensive, more challenging services. Our hospitals are overflowing, and individuals that do not need hospital level of care but simply have nowhere to be discharged to. We cannot continue to ignore this issue. Direct support professionals and other caring professions have unbelievably difficult jobs. They administer medications, they help with money management, they provide transportation, crisis intervention, and they support people with some of their most intimate care needs. Direct support professionals are there for the people they support during the hard and the scary times of their life, but also through the joy-filled times and celebratory moments. The vacancy rate in direct support professionals is the highest in the state, with over 30%. This impacts the direct support professionals who don't leave by requiring them to work extra shifts to help wherever they are needed. As a state, we need to shine a light on these critical jobs and support people with disabilities and older adults and seniors. The time is now to raise the profile of how important and amazing this work can be, how rewarding these professions are. We are proposing that through a statewide public awareness campaign, we can do just that. Talk to any DSP, and they will tell you that they do this work because of the amazing people they have the opportunity to support every day. Let's share those stories. Let's work together to make sure that everyone across Minnesota knows what great opportunities there are to make a meaningful difference in the life of other Minnesotans. With that, I will turn it over to my testifier to share a little bit more information about the positive impact this bill will have.
Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Sue Shuttle, and I am the CEO of ARM. ARM members provide residential services to people with disabilities through the 4 disability waivers. We support people living in many different settings, from community residential settings, most commonly referred to as group homes, to people's own home or family home, to people living in intermediate care facilities. While each service is different and each home is very unique, they have one thing in common, unfortunately, and that is every service is on the verge of collapse, and because we don't have enough staff to support the people that we're serving. There was a time that when someone who worked in disability services made about the same hourly rate as someone working in retail or fast food or the hospitality industry, but that's just not the case anymore, and I know you know that. The wages offered to people working in disability services has simply not kept up. Yet the work remains incredibly rewarding, life-changing even, not only for the individuals working in the field, but also for the person being served. Many people working in the field, including Representative Hicks, has said that it's the most rewarding and most important profession out there, and I don't disagree. So I won't talk very much about the $43 million because I think we're focusing in on the other issue. But as Representative Hicks has said, there are 2 things that this bill does. One is the $43 million retention and recruitment bonuses, but the second part of the bill contains language that allocates $4 million to DEED to work with stakeholders in launching a multi-year, multifaceted public awareness campaign. Our goal is simple. We aim to attract workers into the caring professions, which includes aging, disability services, and behavioral health. So it's not just about our sector. We're looking at the full spectrum of the caring professions. We're modeling this after a similar campaign that has launched in Ohio, and we plan to highlight the caring professions by telling impactful stories in a variety of ways and mediums, including television, billboards, digital, mobile ads, YouTube, social media, all the things that you would think that you would do in a public awareness campaign. You've heard over and over in various settings that our caring professions in Minnesota are experiencing severe workforce challenges. That's not new to you, I know. Providers continue to use all of the tools in their toolbox. They're using Indeed, they're doing all the things that they need to get the word out about the profession, but it's really not enough. What we are proposing with this appropriation is to take it up a few notches, make the caring profession something that people hear about on multiple platforms and often, and can envision themselves participating in it as a career. Our ultimate goal in having a broad-based campaign like this is to heighten the awareness of the caring professions and attract new workers into the various health and human service positions. The proposal calls for DEED to convene stakeholders, as well as work with a creative service company to develop the right concept and to zero in on the right platforms. Our initial idea for content includes focusing on recent high school grads, a mom or a dad going back to work, a fast food delivery driver. And through the PSA, you can actually get a sense that they're looking for more meaningful career that makes an impact on someone's life. So we need to draw back the curtain and show why a career in the caring professions is rewarding, fulfilling, and something that is deeply appreciated. With that, I want to thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Shuttle. Discussion, Representative Sencer-Mura.
Thank you, Representative Hicks, for bringing this bill. I know we're not focused today on the incentive fund grants, but I think that that's a huge part of it. And I would say, I would worry about doing this campaign without those grants, right? Because I think that if we're going to say that these are good paying jobs or people and that people should go into the profession, then we actually have to have that be true. And so thank you for taking care of that with the first part of the bill. I guess my question is, I think you said that this was kind of, based off a program in Ohio. Like, what has the impact in, and I guess why choose the method of marketing versus other outreach methods, recruiting, training? Like, I guess, can you talk a little bit why you think really focusing on the messaging or the narrative piece is really key to getting more folks into the profession? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question.
Ms. Shuttle.
Oh,
Representative Hicks.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much for the question. I will start, and then we'll turn it over for the details about the Ohio component. So I was a DSP for 19 years. I started in the field when I was 16 years old. And I started by accident. I fell into it. And many people in this field fall into it. But when I started, it was a true career path. It was seen as more than just a job. And as time has gone on, and as people with disabilities and seniors, caregivers for those folks haven't been seen as a profession. It hasn't been given the same respect or, frankly, even the same community awareness that it exists. That working in a group home or working in a nursing home is a profession. And so part of the goal behind the public awareness is simply to make sure that our next generation of workers know about this valuable and amazing profession and career path that they have the option to choose. But I'll let my testifier speak a little bit about Ohio.
Ms. Shuttle.
So Ohio launched their program about a year ago, and so they are they're in the midst of it now, and we actually met with them and are learning from the things that they didn't do that they wish they would have. They wish they would have asked for additional resources. They wish that they would have done more in the social media platforms, because what they early indicators on things like they advertise on like Pandora or things like that, where they never really thought that would be a thing that people would follow through on and actually click the link or follow the website to find out where there is a position that they can look at. So they don't have they don't have all of their metrics in to tell us how well their campaign has launched or how it's been, but we know that we've learned a lot from what they have told us. And And quite frankly, we've been, disability services in particular, I'll just talk about that, but I would say it's applicable to caring professions. We haven't really done anything like this before. And to bring the issue out, or the opportunity out from the shadows, and to really talk about the impact that the caring professions make on people with disabilities, people in assisted living, nursing homes, et cetera. I mean, I think that we need to focus in on that. That's a different way of talking about this, but it's something that I think is really desperately needed if we're really trying to help solve the workforce problem, because it's not going to go away, and this is just another tool that we can utilize.
Representative Sencer-Mura.
Thank you for that. I would just say, as you're developing the program, I know that there has been some similar work done, and I think Chair Hassan would know more about this, but around recruiting teachers in Minnesota and trying to use marketing and kind of narrative, and so that might be a place to look to for I think it's called the Come Teach in Minnesota program. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Baker.
Mr. Chair, I'm just kind of curious, so how are we going to, I don't know if this is maybe to Representative Hicks, how are we going to know if this is going to work? What's our matrix? How are we going to know if this was successful?
Representative Hicks.
Thank you so much for the question. There will be people in the positions. I mean, that's the goal, right? Like, the goal is that we will do this marketing and we will see more applications. We will see more people clicking the links. We will see more people coming to the job applications. We will see more applicants applying for these positions. And I want to be clear, you've said in some of the other committees, so you know, but for those of you that maybe aren't in some of the other committees, this is a puzzle piece of solutions. There isn't one solution. This is one small puzzle piece of all of the broader bills that are part of these solutions, including some of the rate things and all those like broader conversations that we're having. But if young people don't know that these caring professions are out there and that they are both rewarding and career paths and valuable, then they're not going to apply for them. And so trying to get where those workers are and where they're hearing those messages and try to instill in them the same, for lack of a better word, passion for supporting their fellow Minnesotans that so many of those of us in these caring professions already have is the ultimate goal. And so there aren't any metrics worked into the bill specifically, but since we will be using a Minnesota-based marketing company, DEED will have metrics in their grant allocation like they do for all grants.
Representative Baker.
Thank you. I think, again, I've always said when you have new ideas coming and it's out-of-the-box thinking, let's try something. I just want to make sure that this is a lot of money, and it's something in a very important industry. There's a lot of important industries, too, that are going to look to this to say, well, where did we get to? So if we are at a 80% occupancy now for those empty vacancy jobs, we have to start doing this, or we shouldn't be doing this. We have to know these numbers before we launch something like this. So I just want to make sure we have those. The matrix is in place to be able to look back at it. Did it do anything good? And just again, to have it, there's more people in the jobs or there's more people applying for it, that's okay, but what does that mean and how does it work? It's a lot of money for an out-of-the-box idea. I really want to focus on reimbursements. I want to focus on things that we all, I know, agree with, and less forced mandates. But this is one that's a big outside-the-box kind of a thinking thing. So if we do this, I just want to make sure we have a way to look back and say, that was a great idea, or that we should never do that again. I just want to make sure we're honest about that so that we can do it right, because people expect us to pay attention to these things. So, but thank you for thinking of things. This is great. I mean, but it's got to work. And we need to be held accountable for this. So this is on all of us. So I appreciate the thoughts. Thank you.
Representative Zalesnikar.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Representative Hicks. I mean, you know that I have a passion for this. My big reservation right now, I missed the 43 million part on this, when I signed on. And my question now, and which may change my position here, but that isn't my question. I'm very concerned when I look at the 43 million just concerns me in the sense that the intent is is to do grants, if I understand this right, for the disability, community-based, for the caregiver. And it would be $1,000 per employee. So when I look at, from the sense of running operations for my entire life, that's like 50 cents an hour. So that's where my hesitation is. I'm not against the concept of what this is. I feel that with the limited resources we have, even though we have $20 billion with the amount of million-dollar programs that we all listen to every day, multi-million, the first thing is getting the horse, and we have to pay the people. Because as much as you're right about meaningful and campaign for meaningful. I've interviewed in pilot projects enough young teens and young 20-year-olds in college and asked directly why they're not in the field. And it is money. So the fact is, they're like, look, it's great, I care, but I also have to pay my bills like you do. I also have to pay my rent, I have to have gas in a car that's went up, I have to eat and buy groceries. And so that's really why they're at Walmart. Many of them left because it's wages. They have to have a fair, if we pay the people, and that's why I would like to see the horse done first with that 43 million moving that way, and then if we do campaigning for the 4 million, I would support that. But we absolutely have to get the wages first, because otherwise it will become gimmicky, and the aides already know that they care, but they're not coming back till the wages are matched what the work is. When I was an aide, the wages matched it, and McDonald's didn't exist. They probably did, I don't remember, I didn't go. We didn't have one in my hometown. But the wages people could make did not match what I made as a CNA. So people chose that. It was esteemed. And until we fix that piece, I think this is premature on that part. I'm not against it. I love anything that incentivizes people. But I just worry about that piece of it. And the wage piece is so critical right now for disability, for PCAs, for CNAs. And so with all due respect, that's just my perspective. I just wanted to share that because I feel like we have to get the horse 100% right now. And without the horse, the carts are just going to be supplemental, and it's going to derail. So, but I really appreciate your intention and your thoughtfulness. Those are just my concerns from 40 years of doing this and watching shift work and watching that people have to be paid, a fair rate, because every type of thing and initiative, when you look at 1,700 nursing home or assisted livings and 300 nursing homes, and I don't know the number of employees, and then you add the disability profession and the people in the various settings that those you serve are in, it's a monumental amount of employees. And so it would end up being 50 cents an hour for that type of program, even though it's 43 million, and that worries me. But thank you.
Closing remarks, Representative Hicks.
Thank you. I would really like to respond to that, however, before I do closing remarks. So there is, the 999 and then the clone bill about the DWRS rates, which includes the elder care. And so I would really, I'm carrying the clone bill for that, and I would love more support, because I agree with you. I agree with you 110%. If we do not fix the rates, nothing else we do will matter. I agree with you. And as you also know, I'm carrying the PCA rate bill as well. I agree with you in all care structures. All of those things are necessary. But we can do hard things, and we can do more than one hard thing at a time. We can work to fix the rates and increase the overall floor to ensure that our care providers and to ensure that Minnesota's checkbook reflects our values in the rates and in the daily wages, but we can also say thank you and invite others to the table. We can do more than one hard thing at a time. And I am committed to doing that, and I am committed to continuing to bring up more than one solution, and I am committed to thinking about all the different puzzle pieces and trying to put them together, because there is not one solution to this problem. If there was, we would have done it. This is a group of really smart people. If there was one way to do this and one solution and one magic bullet, we would have done it. But there isn't. And so we have to work by putting multiple puzzle pieces together. We have to try out-of-the-box things and known things. We have to work together and we have to collaborate to try to solve this problem for our most vulnerable Minnesotans. And so I really, really appreciate everyone's time this late evening about this bill and about the other committees that we've heard it in, and about all of the bills that we're working on together to try to solve this problem, both for our most vulnerable Minnesotans and for the workers. And so I want to say thank you to all of you, because I know how hard of a lift this has been. For those of you that are on Human Services Policy, Human Services Finance, Children and Families, any of those committees where we are talking about these populations, this is really hard work. And there's a lot of complicated puzzle pieces, but I know that if we work together and put people, our most vulnerable people, first, and have our checkbook walk our values, we can get there. So,
Thank you, Representative Hicks. I will renew my motion that House Bill 813, as amended, be laid over for possible inclusion. Next bill, another Representative Hicks bill, House Bill 1042. To your bill.
Thank you so much for hearing this bill. It seeks to support COPAL's initiatives across the state and their Workers Center programming that supports primarily low-income, migrant, and Latinx workers with career planning, workforce training, education, workers' rights, advocacy, and much more. COPAL has a physical presence here in the Twin Cities, in Rochester, and in Mankato, and provides services to Latinas across Minnesota while engaging a network of over 39,000 community stakeholders throughout the state. They provide a variety of programs, including career exploration, job placement, educational opportunities such as GED, computer skills, financial literacy, and citizenship classes, labor protection support for workers who are victims of wage theft, and leadership development. My testifier today can expand a little bit more about what COPAL does and the services they provide, and answer any specific questions about their organization.
Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. I'm Francisco Segovia. I am the Executive Director of Comunidades Organizing Power and Action for Latinos.
Proceed.
Thank you. So I'm here tonight to request your support to invest in our community. With COVID-19, our community was set back. So many communities who were already vulnerable are in a much worse position right now. Latinos are one of those communities that were deeply impacted. During the time of COVID, we opened this service that we call the Navigators. So on a weekly basis, we had about 500 people calling us from across Minnesota. And about 300 of those 500 phone calls or conversations had to do with employment. We had people asking us, how do I regain employment? My company reduced my hours, so I don't have enough work, and so I need help with that. And so as a result of that, those many conversations, we decided to open this Worker Center. So that Worker Center is a model that is a little bit unique in the way where Worker Center is not only about placing people on jobs, but it's also about supporting people on their leadership, and also to support people to regain wages that have lost as a result of wage theft. So it's a combination of those factors that were mentioned before. And so in that way, for instance, since the Worker Center opened in 2021, we have been able to work with about 150 people that have come to us due to wage theft issues. It can go from my employer doesn't pay me, or they misclassify me. We had a case, for instance, from Rochester where a group of women came to us saying that they were cleaning homes, they were treated as regular employees, but they were paid as a contracted people, and they didn't have obviously the benefits of being a regular employee. So we work in cases like that, for instance, where people call us from across the state. And so far, we have helped about $250,000 in wage theft recovery. So people have been able to recover those wages. In so many other cases, we refer people to the city of Minneapolis, human rights departments, or other services that the state offer in what relates to wage theft. So that's what the typical work of a Worker Center does. And in addition, we're seeking support to keep the helpline that we have. Again, people call us from across the state asking for support. We connect them with services, or we provide them if we have them available. So thank you for your time, and I'm here to answer questions.
Discussion. Representative Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And to the testifier, could you be more specific about your workforce training? I know it sounds like you do a lot with helping folks, go after some wage theft, and that's good. We don't want to have anybody not get paid or be treated fairly.
Sure.
What specifically do you do with workforce training, more specific to this committee? What areas and focus and industries?
Mr. Segovia.
Sure. We're providing basic trainings like OSHA trainings, so how to ensure that that you are protected at work. We provide computer skills, basic computer skills, and we also do GED. We have some people who comes to us and saying my employer is going to give me an opportunity if I have my GED. So those are some of the basic things that we do right now.
Representative Baker.
Thank you. Yeah, it sounds like it's very entry level then, very broad-based workforce. It's not into any certain kind of industries. I just know that the Latin community that I know are some of the hardest working people out there, and they deserve to have those opportunities and chances, because once you let them loose, I think they're just literally the hardest working people I know. We need to make sure that they have those tools and launched, but it's got to be again, I'm hoping if it's more, when you say OSHA training, it's maybe some construction skills, or if maybe you can partner with someone else. I'm just not suggesting to change what you're doing. I just know that that's really important to this industry, this committee, and our focus has to be on what are we doing to create more jobs for people, good paying jobs. So if somebody's getting their hours cut, there's a lot more employers that'll give them lots of hours. And right now is the time to be looking. We got to make sure they're trained and ready to go. So again, I wish you well. It's a lot of money, and the request is here, but we'll see how we kind of come out. But anyway, thank you.
Further discussion. Seeing none, closing remarks, Representative Hicks.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank you all so much for hearing this bill. As spoken so eloquently by my colleague, we need to make sure everybody who is able and willing and capable of working has what they need to do so. So I hope we can include this in your larger package. Thank
I will
you.
redo my motion that House File 1042 be laid over for possible inclusion. Well, as amended, be laid over for possible inclusion. Next is House File 2085, Representative Sencer-Mura. Representative Sencer-Mura, you have an amendment. No, you don't. Good. Good job. I like bills without amendments.
No, it doesn't have an amendment, so.
Representative Sencer-Mura will move that House File 2085 be laid over for possible inclusion. To your bill, Representative Sencer-Mura.
Thank you, Chair Zhang, Vice Chair Brand, and committee members. Happy to be before you today talking about House File 2085, which is an appropriation to Pillsbury United Communities, a nonprofit that has been working in the community in Minneapolis for 140 years. Pillsbury United Communities runs 4 community centers and 6 social enterprises in Minneapolis focused on underinvested individuals and families from lower socioeconomic status. They provide emergency services, stabilization support, and take on innovative projects that invest in long-term prosperity in our community and equity in our state. They have a sizable footprint in the education and workforce development spaces. Their examples of bodies of work include charter school authorization, in-school and out-of-school programming for middle and high school students, and 200 internships per year, and post-secondary work through a scholarship program. This funding would be a renewal of $500,000 going specifically towards their Career Pathways program. This is a workforce program specifically for underserved youth that provides the opportunity and the support to obtain industry certifications in high wage and high growth occupations in Minnesota, while ensuring that students in the program have access to wraparound services to ensure they can be successful kind of building off of the conversation our committee had this morning, I believe that jobs for young people, getting them into careers, getting into employment pathways is critical, both because of the workforce shortages we have in our state, but also because we need to make sure that young people have productive things to do and are being brought into the community and having the wraparound services they need to be successful. I would now like to turn my time over to a testifier, a program participant who could speak more to the work that Pillsbury United Communities is doing. Thank you.
Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Hello, my name is Jediah Steele. I am a current student of Career Pathways underneath Pillsbury United Communities. Since I started Pillsbury United Communities, I realized a lot of things that were stereotyped upon me. I grew up on the north side of Minneapolis most of my life until I began to move to the suburbs due to how crime affected my family. When I moved away from the cities, I realized when I moved to the suburban areas that I was an outcast simply because of the color of my skin. I gained this stereotype that many Black and brown children end up getting because, for me, I didn't see college in my future simply because of the high cost and mindset of poverty that my family was still living in, even though we were in a better neighborhood. So for me, I was expected to work than to go to college. So the open door for Pillsbury United Communities helped me to get out of that stereotype and has provided me not only education, but also wraparound services such as transportation, as well as guidance to counseling and many more things. If it had not been for this program, I simply would not be where I am today. I would be that normal brown skin girl who wouldn't be further along in my future as I would imagine for me to be. So from the moment I joined the program, I have learned so many adulting skills that I needed that helped me to stand my own ground. This program has not only provided me with funds, but it has also provided me with basic adulting skills such as financial skills and being able to provide my own homing financial stability as well. But because this community has given back to me, I strive to give back to my community where I grew up from. And with the education that I received through Pillsbury United Communities, I plan to go into social work through the human services field that I am in. But not only that, every cent that I get, I am actually putting into a savings account to then be able to go to Howard University for psychology to also give back to my community in that aspect as well. Because there's not enough Black women, Black men who are able to implement back into the community exactly what we need, especially with being able to understand all the issues that happen within our community on the North Minneapolis side. So my intent is to be able to open up my own one-stop shop self-care center to be able to give back to my community in that way of understanding and truly implementing a brighter future for our young people. Thank you.
Discussion, Representative Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative, for this bill. Thank you to the testifier. Your words are so inspiring, and yes, we do need more social workers. We do need more Black psychologists. I think the number is too small. And you wanting to further your career and to go to Howard University, that is a great dream. Keep on going. Sky's the limit. I'm super proud of the work that you're doing to just, be an adult and do what you need to do and just envision a world where there are no barriers. That's wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for the bill. Right.
Representative Baker.
Mr. Chair, I think I'm so inspired by you wanting to pay it forward. And we don't hear that enough, especially from someone as young as you are and so ready for this great world ahead of you. And so we hear a lot of bills here. We have to think about what is our best use of our taxpayer dollars. It sounds like you feel like this Pillsbury project is really right for you and you're ready to go to it. You've had experience with it. Now you want to pay it back. We just need 1,000 more of you in those chairs to be able to pay it forward, because you have to do this again for some other people down the road. That's what we're counting on. So thanks for inspiring all of us tonight, and you're a breath of fresh air, and that hair is amazing. I love it. So good job tonight, and this is exciting to hear that energy. So thank you.
Sounds like you have a co-author.
Right.
Further discussion. Representative Zalesnikar.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a quick question, Representative. It talks about the internships for 16 and 17-year-olds. And do you envision that? And I'm not sure if Pillsbury is for the trades too, is my understanding?
Can I phone a friend from Pillsbury United to come up and support with that?
Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
My name is Vanan Murugesan. I'm the head of transformation at Pillsbury United Communities. I believe your question was about internship. I'm sorry, the baby was crying a little bit. Can you please repeat the question, please?
Representative Zalesnikar.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. The question was just regarding the internships for 16 and 17-year-olds. Does this program place them in the trade programs?
The program, part of the program is to place kids who are interested in the trade program to be part of it. The internship, though, will only occur after they are done with the program, and typically the 16 and 17-year-old youths are participating in GED classes. So our primary target audience are kids right out of high school, so you're about 18 years old. We are targeting certificates that go for up to a year, and only in jobs that are in high demand and high growth. So they have to meet both of these requirements. And we work with Minneapolis College and Dunwoody to identify those things. And so, but by the end of that 1 year period, give or take 1 year, some kids take longer, some kids, Jediah is taking quicker. She's an excellent example of the program. They go into internship program. They go into an internship period. We will not, I don't think it's even allowable to get a 16 or 17-year-old kid into the trade internship anywhere. So rest assured, we will not do that.
Representative Zalesnikar.
No further questions. Thank you.
Further discussions. Seeing none, closing remarks. Representative Sencer-Mura.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee members. I think that our testifier, Jediah, said it best when she spoke about, the classes that helped her and others learn about adulting. I think that there's a lot of both hard skills related to career, but also soft skills that all of us need to learn to become successful adults, and programs that can help us do that, especially maybe for young people that don't feel like college is the right option, I think are things that we need to be investing in. I also really appreciated the testimony talking about, an investment now comes back 5-10-fold in the future. I hope that within a few years we could potentially, be talking about funding one-stop self-care shops on the north side. I think that that's a great idea, and I look forward to seeing where that goes. And I hope that committee members will consider this for possible inclusion in the omnibus. Thank you.
Representative Sencer-Mura will renew her motion that House File 2085 be laid over for possible inclusion. Next is House File 1704. Representative Schomacker. And I believe you have an A1 amendment. If you could please explain your amendment, Mr. Representative Schomacker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. The A1 amendment fills in some of those dots that we all hate to have, and so completes the bill and makes it what we need it to be.
All those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, two-year bill as amended. Representative Schomacker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for granting this bill a hearing, and I can't wait to hear what Representative Baker has to say about my hair at the end of my testimony tonight. The bill in front of you is a way to compete with the Build Dakota program that we have just across the way from us. I live in Laverne, which is a community about 12 miles from the South Dakota border, and what the folks over on that side of the world had decided to do was to make the two-year programs to the technical skill building types of programs free for students as long as they move to South Dakota, they do their programs there, and then they work for 3 to 5 years in the state. Well, those 3 to 5 years are pretty important for how you're going to lay down your roots in the rest of your life, and so we want to just try and compete with that. And so it was actually a group of local mayors, and you're getting a handout from those local mayors from the border communities there, just discussing on how they brought together their ideas on how to build this program out to be competitive. They connected with the Initiative Foundation. They connected with Minnesota West out there and the campuses that they have. And this is what they came up with. It was in the jobs bill that we weren't able to get across the finish line last year, and so we're hoping to get it done this year. Just a quick walkthrough of it. It establishes definitions for the purposes of creating this pilot program in Southwest Minnesota, putting scholarships together for the local workforce. This program is designed to work through deed due to the effective workforce development relationship that already exists. Most efficient way to model this pilot is what we've found. And funds appropriated by the legislature would be awarded to the Southwest Initiative Foundation, and it defines the 7 Minnesota West colleges that the scholarships would be awarded to. Program eligibility includes the high demand occupations, associate degree, diploma, or certificate programs as defined by the local Workforce Development Board. The foundation and Minnesota West shall establish application processes and other guidelines. It's something that they've already agreed to do. And there is some commitment from the scholarship recipient as well. They must be enrolled in one of the identified programs offered at the Minnesota West College. They have to adhere to any local employer program requirements, commit to 3 years of full-time employment with a local employer, and if they drop out, the scholarship converts to a loan by the foundation. It requires the foundation and Minnesota West to develop relationships with local employers to maximize the effect of these public funds, and an annual report is required to be provided by the foundation back to the legislative committees, you all here. With me I have Mr. Scott Marquardt. He's the president of the Southwest Initiative Foundation and can offer further commentary.
Welcome to committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Scott Marquardt, president of Southwest Initiative Foundation. We serve the 18 counties of rural Southwest Minnesota and the Upper Sioux community and Lower Sioux Indian community. Our regional centers are Worthington, Marshall, Hutchinson, and Representative Baker's backyard in Wilmer. Our region borders Iowa and South Dakota, as Representative Schomacker said, and many of my communities have 3-digit populations. Our vision is a region where all people thrive. We all know Minnesota has one of the highest labor force participation rates. At the same time, when unemployment in my respective 3 planning regions are still at historic lows of well under 2%. As Representative Schomacker said, the Build Dakota Scholarship Fund is recruiting and targeting and working very hard to reach the students in my border counties and in our communities. Wasn't that long ago that one of those postcards showed up in my mailbox because I have a student too. They're very aggressive. $70 million has been put into the fund so far, $50 million in the first tranche, an additional 20. With that $50 million, according to South Dakota's data, 1,900 students at least have graduated debt-free from a South Dakota technical school, and my guess is a good chunk of them are still residing in South Dakota and not being the workforce that we need in Southwest Minnesota and throughout the state. We want to be the trusted partner to deliver this, and we're hopeful that it's funded. We are grateful for the support and trust that the state of Minnesota has given us since our inception in 1986. Our collaboration with the DEED most recently has helped put out millions of dollars in all of the various pandemic relief programs as our entrepreneurs work tirelessly to navigate the unknowns and economic impacts of the pandemic, small business relief grants, loan guarantees, Main Street COVID grants, and now Main Street economic revitalization. We have the staff, we have the systems and the local relationships to do this effectively and efficiently and prudently. We manage a number of scholarship funds for our community foundation and affiliate partners, and the idea of converting it to a loan if necessary is not new space for us because we do business finance daily. So we believe we have the intermediary that can get the money deployed ASAP with minimal ramp-up time, and to ensure that marginalized and underserved people are reached and that barriers are mitigated. We believe this would definitely leverage our years of advancing economic development and multi-sector collaboration. As Representative Schomacker said, this was developed very collaboratively. Employer input, workforce boards, Minnesota West, a number of community partners. I told this story a couple of weeks ago to the convening of the Chamber of Commerce executives and just really celebrated how this was such a inclusive journey that brought us to this bill, and we're hopeful that it is funded this year. And I'll just close, Mr. Chair and members, with that. It's data-driven. There's some serious analytics that'll go into how folks are selected, how programs are prioritized to ensure that data drives this so that reporting and diligent analysis afterwards is available. So we're grateful for the consideration. We're very hopeful that this is funded, and we look forward to having a lot of folks graduate from Minnesota West and go to work in greater Minnesota, throughout Minnesota, instead of across the state line. So, thank you.
Discussion. Representative Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Representative Schomacker, and or to Mr. Marquardt too. Am I missing it, but do I see anything about where the in-demand jobs are? Is there a focus on certain industries, or is that pretty broad with the college offerings? Because this is a great program. We've got to compete with our neighbors across the border, and they're taking people away from us with these other things that they're forcing us. So this is a must-do, folks. This is a must-do for rural Minnesota in some of the largest areas that are shrinking in Minnesota. But I'm just curious about the in-demand. What does that mean?
Yep. Mr. Chair, Representative Baker, yes.
Mr. Marquardt.
Thank you. A key part of this is that the Workforce Board will work with Minnesota Rest to identify those. The bill doesn't identify it.
Okay.
Representative Baker, that's going to be looked at actually on an annual basis to ensure things are changing. The preliminary analysis certainly in the healthcare space, we believe manufacturing, mechatronics, machinists, so certainly some of, the higher demand programs at the technical colleges, but we are going to look at this annually because we could see it fluxing. If one of our plants adds 300-400 people, we need to know what that means or would like to add it. So should be done annually.
Representative Baker.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I just want to emphasize this part of the state doesn't ask for much. This is one that I think really needs to be looked at when we look at our final bill. I think this pilot project, and I know this organization, the Southwest Initiative Foundations and their work there, they are data wonks. They are all over this. They do it because they know what's going to work, and they study it. I like your idea about staying nimble. The industries can be changing too, so I really do hope this committee really supports this. So thank you for bringing it forward.
Representative Weems.
Thank you, Chair Jong. Thank you, Representative Schomacker and Mr. Marquardt. I'm sort of echoing Representative Baker, but to a certain extent, what I'm impressed with is the amount of analysis that you've done to understand what the job market is and what the youth that are in southwestern Minnesota, where they're going. I'm pretty pissed off at South Dakota, but I think you guys are taking their plan and you're going to turn it around against them. And I'd like you to just maybe talk a little bit about what are the elements of that plan that you guys adopted.
Mr. Marquardt.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair and Representative. One of the largest infusions in the South Dakota plan was a large gift from a philanthropist and business person, Mr. Sanford. And, we're not looking for a specific target in that space, but the corollary that we think we're adopting is why I believe this also would involve some tax committee work is the tax credit for employers, so employer engagement. Instead of, philanthropist XYZ partnering with the state of South Dakota, we're going to try to use tax benefit in it so that there's some incentive to have employer infusion into this in addition to the public dollars. So I think that public-private partnership was a key piece of it. Also, that it's not just finish your college and take off, that there's that committing to 3 years of full-time employment. We think the 3-year benchmark in South Dakota really makes sense. Having the high-demand occupations. South Dakota's model, just I think based on population, it's all 4 of their technical schools, Mitchell, Sioux Falls, Watertown, and one out West River. Because this is a pilot, we're looking at Minnesota West, but they have multiple campuses. So that's a slightly different thing, but we believe that because of the pilot nature, we'd rather start with one and then learn and grow from that space perspective. So I'd say, again, the top 3 would be the 3 years, the public-private partnership, and trying to use analytics.
Representative.
One follow-up, Chairman?
Representative Weems.
And I promise I won't ask any more questions. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Marquardt and Representative Schomacker. I am really encouraged that this is just a one-time appropriation of $700,000 so that you guys can do the beta test on how this works and then report back to us. Because this could be a model for other communities that are on the border and even here in the metro area. If I'm doing my math correctly, with 700 grand, that's 70 potential students that would be used or at the $10,000 mark, or is there a different number that you guys are using in this test bed?
Mr. Marquardt, Representative Schomacker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Representative Weens. We do anticipate it'll be more than that. That would be if it was total state share with that. But because we actually have the employers have some skin in the game too, we're going to be able to serve a lot more students and keep a lot more home than what would otherwise be.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to Mr. Marquardt and Representative Schomacker. Thank you for this bill, and we've got a somewhat similar program with Pine Tech and Community College in Pine City, Minnesota. There's a foundation that has had started out with some of the area schools offering scholarships to the graduating seniors out of a couple areas, and then through some of the federal funding through, I don't know if it was CARES or ARPA or what, our county board has extended that to all schools in Pine County. So I think the graduates through this year will be able to go, those that choose to, be able to go to Pine Tech and Community College and be able to get, careers, there's skills that are important for our community. And, it's one of the few colleges in the state that has had a growth in enrollees over the last probably about 15 years. Most colleges have had a decline, and it's one of those that has had consistent, and I believe it's 45% growth over the last 15 years. So it's been very steady, and I don't know if you have met with Joe Mulford, the president there, and just kind of seen how it works there. But I think opportunities like this are so crucially important, and and I think also, and I don't know if it's maybe part of this bill here, but being able to engage with our students in high school and having some of the exposure to what careers are out there, because I think there's a lot of bills that we're hearing here that are in many ways they're remediation. They're the people that didn't realize they've gotten post high school and don't know what to do. Maybe they're in a transition phase of a career. We just, right before you, we heard of a testimony of somebody really thinking that college was out of the question because of their socioeconomic backgrounds. And I think that, being able to, expose students to the possibilities that are out there are so important. And being able to have that, and I support this, and I, hope that, there can be more opportunities like this going forward. And I think to Representative Schomacker, the hair is lacking a little bit, so.
Representative Schomacker.
I can't pick myself off the floor off that last comment, but it's true. And I think in Southwest Minnesota, what's a little more unique with the struggles that our students have is that when they get through high school, they think Twin Cities, they have the jobs, so I got to go there, or Sioux Falls because they're going to pay for my school. And so the last option I would have is here, and we can answer both of those with this. And I'll just do my wrap up too, as long as there's no other questions, and just say, I'm in retail as a professional, and I know it's a lot cheaper to keep the customers I have than to go out and get new ones. And so I think the same thing happens with our workforce. It's going to be much more affordable from the state and from the local economy perspective to keep our local students local than to try and recruit new people to come to the area. So I ask you again for your support, and thank you for the hearing.
I will renew my motion that House Bill 1704 as amended be laid over for possible inclusion. Next bill is House Bill 1944, Representative Petersburg. Do you have an amendment? No, you don't. Good job. Okay. I will move that House Bill 1944 be laid over for possible inclusion. Welcome to committee. Representative Petersburg, to your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for keeping the two best bills last. I appreciate that. I also appreciate you taking the time to hear these bills. That's very important for us, and thank you for the committee for hearing it. These two bills that I have actually kind of work very well together, and it's this situation that we have in front of you is about workforce development. Many years ago, Owatonna and the area lost its workforce development location and all of that, and it had to go regionally different places. And so we've been working at trying to maintain that and keep that in the Owatonna area. We're one of the largest towns of our size in Owatonna that didn't have one. And so we've been working with that, and I have Jenny Rittman here next to me, who is the head of the workforce development incorporation, and so she's going to testify about the importance of this, what has been done in the past few years, and I will turn it over to her, Mr. Chair.
Welcome to committee again, Ms. Rittman. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
All right. Good evening again, Mr. Chairman and committee members, and thank you again for this opportunity to speak with you. My name is Ginny Rittman, and I'm the Executive Director for WDI, as you heard earlier, and we are a nonprofit organization providing employment and training services in the 10-county area of southeast Minnesota. Today, I represent the Workforce Development Board, Steele County residents, career seekers, local businesses, and our community partners. We were thrilled to reopen our Steele County Workforce Development Office in 2021, and we hope to keep these services available to serve the critical needs of our region. The Owatonna Workforce Center closed its doors to the public in April of 2018. Owatonna was the only community in Minnesota with a population of over 20,000 that didn't have a career force. Due to shrinking public funding resources, we were forced to close. Knowing that the employers in Steele County are paying into this important workforce development tax, our businesses and community partners were incredibly disappointed. In 2021, we were fortunate to receive a direct appropriation to reopen our doors, which we did later that year on a minor budget of $275,000. Since that time, in just over a year's time, we've served over 300 career seekers and over 200 employers, helping employers find talent and providing training and support services to help career seekers access opportunities. Our cost per participant is $1,328, and our success rate into employment and training has been 92%. We're partnered with organizations such as Owatonna Chamber and the United Way. We've created a career-centered initiative in Steele County schools called Steele Co-Works. This program exposes our Steele County youth to job shadowing, internships, work experience, and part-time employment. We also have multiple career pathways programs for youth and adults, providing that connection for our career seekers to access opportunities and for employers to access talent. Our largest key industry sector is manufacturing, and we've developed a successful training program into advanced manufacturing during this short time in partnership with our local college and adult basic education. In addition, we've been able to serve a 34% diverse workforce and provide a wage gain of $4 per hour with an average wage at employment of $20 per hour. At a time when we are experiencing a labor workforce shortage, the ability to collaborate and look to best practices is vital. We are able to leverage our programs, services, and relationships with businesses and educators to bring even more career pathway training options to Steele County residents, and we have the proven strategies that can build career pathways for anyone in need. We have numerous matching and braided funding streams, yet this appropriation is critical for us to continue these services to the residents of Steele County. As you can see from your handout, we have unique and impactful programs that are truly moving the needle to addressing the workforce challenges of our region. And we were able to stand these up, sign on key stakeholders, develop, and provide programming incredibly quickly after receiving our allocation. I would now love for you to hear from one of our students, if there's time. Matt Beck is a participant in one of our programs. However, he's not on the testifying list as he was able to just join us last minute. So I can either read his testimony, which is less than 2 minutes, or you can hear from him directly. Mr. Chairman, which would you prefer?
I want to hear from him directly.
All right. So with that, I'd like to introduce Matthew Beck. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And while he's coming, Mr. Chair, if I may continue just for a minute.
Go ahead.
One of the things that I think there's a benefit here is Owatonna has a growing industry and a growing programs, and we have really low unemployment, but we have so many jobs available. We are trying to develop situations in which people actually grow their skills to become higher paying jobs and moving forward. So trying, rather than being underemployed, this opportunity is something in which it really can grow. And with that, I'll turn it over to Matt.
Welcome to committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm Matthew Beck. I graduated from Owatonna High School last year, and I am currently working full-time as a welder at Advanced Coil Technology in Owatonna. I'm going to briefly tell you how workforce development in Steele County has made an impact in my life. I knew I was interested in a hands-on job after high school. I liked working on cars, and I liked the welding class I took, but I was lost on what to do to make those interests into a job. In the fall of my senior year, a career planner through the Steel Co-works program with workforce development, her name was Megan. She came into one of my classes and said she can help connect students to employers and learn about careers. She connected me with the diesel mechanic where I did a paid work experience, and I learned it wasn't the career path for me. I know I was still interested in welding, so I decided to explore that further, and Megan set me up with a tour at Advanced Coil, and I later job shadowed a few of the welders. I quickly realized I wanted to work there. I was hired on through a work experience program at Workforce Development that was approved by Youth Skills Training and was paid to work at Advanced Coil and gain experience. Advanced Coil requires employees to have a welding certificate, so I toured the welding program at South Central College with Megan. She also helped me through the process of applying to the college. I was accepted into the program, and my tuition was paid in full through the Advanced Manufacturing Grant. I continued to work at Advanced Coil part-time throughout college and was hired on into a full-time role after I completed my welding certificate. If it wasn't for workforce development, I wouldn't have been able to explore my career interests before committing to a career. I also wouldn't have been able to go to college without taking out loans and start a career that I can see myself staying at long term. I am 18 years old, have no college debt, enjoy my job, and I am making more money than most of my friends. I am grateful for the support I received from the Steele County Workforce Development Office, and I want more students to have the same opportunities that I had. I can honestly say I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for Megan and workforce development in Steele County. Thank you for your time and allowing me to share my story.
Thank you, Mr. Beck, for sharing your story. Discussion. Representative Harder.
Thank you, Chair Zhang. Representative Peterson, I have a question. I'm on the website for it. Okay, how does that work? So you have a member board, but then yet you collaborate with the counties. How does that work?
Ms. Rittman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Representative. Can you repeat the question? How does it work with the county boards?
Right, you have your member board, your workforce development board, and then there's a joint powers with several counties. How does that work together?
Ms. Rittman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and Representative. So under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Law, which is a federal law, that is what we operate under. And under that law, we are required to be governed by what's called a Joint Powers Board. And our Joint Powers Board is made up of one county commissioner from each of the 10 counties that we serve. So our Workforce Development Board and our Joint Powers Board together govern Workforce Development, Inc. and our programs and services in Southeast Minnesota.
Representative Harder.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. This sounds like a good program to get our youth in jobs rather than many don't want to have a four-year college, which is fine. And so this is another opportunity for outstate or greater Minnesota for their opportunities. So thank you for that.
Further discussion. Seeing closing statement, Representative Petersburg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for committee hearing this. We just ask you to consider this appropriation so that we can continue the program that we believe is very successful and has a great impact to the people in our community. Thank you.
I will renew my motion on House File 1944, be laid over for possible inclusion. Next bill, House File 1011. I will move that House File 1011 be laid over for possible inclusion. Representative Petersburg, to your bill and the final bill in committee.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, again. So this, I would say, is probably the bill that enhances what you just heard before. Owatonna was the community of Owatonna actually decided to spend lots of money and build a brand new high school. And with that brand new high school comes great opportunities for us to advance technical skills to skill levels that allow people to get into jobs right away. And working with Riverland Technical College, that's also in Owatonna, it gives us a great opportunity to provide for additional ability for kids young adults to get the skills needed to go right into jobs that are high paying, whether they're blue collar or white collar. It really gives a great opportunity for them to grow and go beyond this. And so this bill was actually in last year's bill that obviously for a lot of us know didn't make it across the finish line, but we're here at another time to ask for the funding to get this program up and starting. So bulk of it's going to be on equipment and other things to get both the technical college as well as the high school up to speed in workforce development. And with that, I have Brad Myers here from the Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome to committee, Mrs. Meyer. Please identify yourself for record. Proceed.
Thank you. Brad Meyer, I'm president of the Owatonna Area Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. Our foundation would be the fiscal agent for this particular project. Thanks for listening to us. I just want to quickly outline our ambition for growth in Owatonna and how this plays into it. We're a community of 27,000 people straight south on I-35, about 50 miles. 30% of our workforce is in manufacturing. We have about 1,500 positions open as we sit here today, and we want to grow as a community. As Representative Petersburg said, we're building a brand new high school, $23 million, are privately funded, one of the largest in the state of Minnesota, possibly in the country. So we're committed to education. We just invested $30 million in public and private financing in our downtown to make it a better place. We've put up over 600 housing units over the last 3 to 4 years, and we're engaging in a community-wide branding initiative to market our community and tell our great story. We're also focusing on training of our high school students, and we need them to understand what opportunities they have in our community. We're doing that through Youth Skills Training Program through the state of Minnesota, Career Pathways through Owatonna High School, the Steele Co. Works Program, which we're a partner with WDI in the United Way, and also the workforce development location that you just heard about continue to stay open in our community. So one of the next big issues is higher education, and our presence in Owatonna for higher education needs to be expanded and improved, and we want to do that with our partner Riverland Community College. So that brings us to Learn to Earn. We're asking for $1 million for 3 things: needs assessment for higher education, mechatronics equipment in the new OHS, and Riverland Community College to provide a pathway for our industry, and an Owatonna Opportunities Scholarship, which essentially helps fund the higher education while the student is both part-time school, part-time work. The Chamber would be the partner working in the middle of this to make sure our educational partners are tied in with what our business partners are looking for through this program. And the career pathway at the high school is ready to jump in on this. Riverland Community College has their advanced manufacturing pathway ready to go. We just need to get this equipment up and running. So we think it's an important model and a next step in the growth of our community, and we'd love your help with that. Thank you.
Discussions. Yeah, you gotta have a question.
I have a question.
Baker.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Great bill. Representative Petersburg, thank you very much. Our friends in Owatonna are getting pretty creative down there. This is exciting. That high school sounds really exciting, and you guys are really, again, like we have seen here in many committees, in many presentations over the last few days, you're thinking outside the box. So thank you for that. I'm excited to support this bill. I really hope it makes it to that final finish line as well like it did last year. Representative Petersburg, thanks for your work on this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Sencer-Mura.
Thank you, Representative Petersburg. I also think this is a really innovative and exciting idea. I guess my question is, I also sit on the Education Finance Committee, and I could see, this proposal is dealing with, in-school programming. It looks like, investments in equipment that students would use in schools, I guess. Why should this go through workforce rather than education finance? Thank you.
Representative Petersburg.
I'm not part of leadership, and leadership has signed it here. So I think you have a good point. It could go there, and I think last year it did go through there at least one stage. But I think because it deals more heavily with workforce and not education, maybe the chairs decided that way. I don't know. Good point.
Representative Sencer-Mura?
That just gives me some creative ideas for supporting Minneapolis Public Schools. Thank you.
Further discussion? Further discussion? I know you got a question, Representative Nelson. No?
Good to go.
I'm good.
All right, closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Chair. And I do have to apologize. I think I may have dropped the ball. We did have a handout. I did send it by email just tonight when I saw it wasn't here to the committee administrator. So hopefully he'll get that sent out electronically to everybody as well. That kind of lays out along with some of the thoughts about where the costs are. Again, I apologize for dropping that. But thank you for hearing this. I think this is a great combination of bills that really allows, as an example to the rest of the state, how we can increase our workforce development for those that just aren't going to go to a four-year college, aren't going to go even maybe to trade schools, but it gives us an opportunity to really expand that, because the opportunity for high-paying jobs, blue-collar, white-collar, don't necessarily have to go traditionally. They can also be creative, and this is our attempt to do so. So again, thank you for hearing it, and I appreciate your support.
I will renew my motion that House File 10 and 11 be laid over possible inclusion. Thank you, Representative Petersburg. Members, we are done here. We will come back Friday afternoon for 4 hours. And then next week, we will likely have another evening hearing Wednesday. And if my intention is to hear all the bills in our procession, and then we will work on the omnibus bill before deadline is over. And so with that said, the committee is representative.
Just a quick question. Was the potential next week's schedule sent out already to our LAs yet or not? Okay, we want to get that on our schedule.
Our staff is out. He had an
Okay.
emergency.
Okay,
So
no worries.
We'll make sure that's sent
Thanks for
out.
the announcement tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any questions? All right, committee's adjourned.